Good evening, this is News Mongolia. I'm Satlangort in the MNB World studio. For our top stories, U.S. State Department concludes Mongolia does not fully meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking. COVID-19, Mongolia records less than 100 new cases. Sportsman A.Temuujin was named the best male football player of 2021. For other news, stay tuned. Our first story, men, women, and children of all ages and from all backgrounds can become victims of human trafficking, which occurs in every part of the world. In Mongolia, human trafficking is becoming more discreet and organized. Experts note that effective partnership between the government, civil society, and the private sector is essential in tackling this crime.
According to experts from the U.S. State Department, forced labor, also known as involuntary servitude, is also the biggest sector of human trafficking in the world. For the last few years, Mongolian men working abroad in mining and agriculture have been at high risk of becoming victims of human trafficking. Wages for illegal workers are much lower than the minimum wage in most countries, and most illegal workers have visa issues, which makes them vulnerable if they need legal help and protection.
From the moment a person realizes they have become a victim of human trafficking, the person seeks help and protection. But currently, Mongolia lacks a system for providing long-term protection to victims of human trafficking abroad and maintaining their safety. In addition, most victims face difficulties getting reparations for their losses.
In 2019, Mongolia repatriated 3 citizens who had become victims of human trafficking in China, Kazakhstan, and the Philippines. In 2020, 15 Mongolian citizens were repatriated from Malaysia. Most of the victims were lured by the promise of high-paying jobs abroad and afterwards faced abuse and exploitation in a foreign country with no money, no documents, and no way to find help. The U.S. State Department's 2021 Trafficking in Persons report concludes that the government of Mongolia does not fully meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking, but is making significant efforts to do so. The recommendations include the need to create and fully implement formal procedures to guide government officials, including police, immigration, and labor authorities, in victim identification and referral to protective services, especially among men and boys. On December 8th, the Millennium Challenge account Mongolia and the U.S. government's Millennium Challenge Corporation held a public event to introduce MCC's updated counter-trafficking in persons policy.
Currently, MCA Mongolia is working on 2 major infrastructure development projects worth $350 million. During the entire project implementation process, we plan to adhere to and maintain human rights and gender equality. We will work toward eliminating illegal activity like forced labor and human trafficking.
According to the U.S. State Department's 2021 Trafficking in Persons report, the government of Mongolia demonstrated overall increasing efforts compared to the previous reporting period, considering the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on its anti-trafficking capacity. As a result, Mongolia remained on Tier 2 for not yet meeting international standards for efforts to stop human trafficking.
According to the Ministry of Health, 94 new COVID-19 cases were confirmed in the last 24 hours through PCR testing. It's the first time that Mongolia has seen a new case tally under 100 since the early days of the country's first domestic outbreak. As of Monday, December 13th, the total number of COVID-19 cases in Mongolia is around 385,000. The country has been seeing a decline in new cases in the past couple of weeks. The number of daily recorded fatalities is also declining. On Monday, 3 deaths were reported. Mongolia's total number of COVID-19 related deaths is now 1,963. Among the 94 cases recorded on Monday, 2 cases were confirmed from plane passengers. ULAANBAATAR saw the highest number of cases with 75. As of today, the number of COVID-19 patients who are being treated at home is higher than the number of patients hospitalized, which stands at around 3,000. About 49% of hospitalized patients have moderate symptoms of illness. The newly identified Omicron variant hasn't been recorded in Mongolia yet, but the public is being strongly encouraged to get a booster shot to strengthen immunity. So far, around 66% of the population has been fully vaccinated, and 25% have received a booster shot. The busy holiday season is continuing with no restrictions on public gatherings, but arts and culture events are requiring proof of a booster shot or negative rapid test results from attendees. Wearing masks and protecting one's own health have been matters of personal responsibility. Thank you for staying with us on MNB World. Now let's take a look at Mongolia's current affairs. The third Forum of Mongolian Cultural Envoys was held at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in virtual and in-person format. The meeting was opened by Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Batsitsik, and other ministry officials. In her opening remarks, Minister Batsitsik said that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs recognized the role of cultural envoys in promoting bilateral cooperation and serving as a bridge that connects Mongolia to other nations. The Ministry of Culture, in cooperation with the Ministry of Nature, Environment and Tourism and Ministry of Foreign Affairs, has initiated the three-ministry cooperation plan. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs presented the Mongols of the world and Mongolian national values action plans that will be implemented by the three ministries under the cooperation plan. Minister Batsitsik also gave presentations and led discussions on Mongolia's foreign trade and economy, foreign promotion policies and activities, tourism and cultural policies, international experiences, and the participation of cultural envoys. To date, Mongolia has appointed a total of 52 cultural envoys to 18 countries, including the United Kingdom, Singapore, and the United States. 20 of the envoys are foreign citizens. Within the framework of the amended law on culture, which will come into force on January 1, 2022, the regulation on cultural envoys will be revised. During the forum, Arunbot, head of Titum Art Academy, presented a Mongolian scripture exhibition, Letters of the Great Han of the Mongol Empire, to the cultural envoys taking part in the forum.
On December 6, the inclusion of Mongolia in the list of countries whose citizens are allowed entry into Russia by air transport was made official. Mongolian citizens are now able to travel to Russia through Mongolian airports and from countries with open-air borders with Russia. Foreigners traveling to Russia are required to undergo a PCR test within 48 hours before entry and receive a negative PCR test results. The third consultative meeting between the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Mongolia and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Worship of Argentina was held online on December 9th. The meeting was chaired by State Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ankhbayir, and Claudia Javier Rosenweig, Argentina's Secretary of State and Foreign Affairs. The parties expressed their support for strengthening friendly relations between Mongolia and Argentina. They agreed to enrich cooperation in the economic sphere and expand it in the fields of agriculture, tourism, information technology, education, culture, and sports. The two sides also agreed to support the establishment of direct contact between the two countries' chambers of commerce and sports federations. The Mongolian and Argentinian delegates reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening cooperation within the United Nations and other international and regional organizations, including the Forum for East Asia, Latin America Cooperation.
Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. The Golden Ball ceremony to select the best players of the year by the Mongolian Football Federation took place on Sunday. TRAFFICKING, a midfielder of Athletic 220 and the Mongolian national team, was named the best male player of 2021, the most prestigious and big award of the Golden Ball for the first time.
The Golden Ball ceremony to recognize the best of Mongolian football took place on December 12.
The event was held virtually for the first time last year due to the pandemic. The president of the Mongolian Football Federation, ULAANBAATAR, addressed the opening ceremony. Arsenal and Japan defender Takehiro Tomiyasu sent his greetings, and the president of Mongolia, Khurshud's greetings were delivered by his advisor, Min Sakhan. Athletic 220 and Mongolian national team midfielder Temuujin was named the best male player of 2021 and awarded the Golden Ball for the first time. The Gobi Alta Football Association, which has made a valuable contribution to the development of public football, has won this year's Grassroots Football Basics Award. Hashirtne, a Class A referee of the Mongolian Football Federation, was awarded the Golden Whistle Award. For the second year in a row, Kartmagna, the coach of Athletic 220 club, was named the best men's team coach of the year 2021. Batiredu, a player of BCH Lions club, received the best goal award of 2021, which was determined by voting. Ondrich, the striker of Ervis club and the Mongolian women's national team, was named the best female player of 2021 for the first time.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast for the world's major cities. This is it for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.